Hey everyone, it's Natalie. In this video, I will explain how to design a surgical splint using Limaguide. So I will open the Limaguide software, and as a start, I will import the dicom pressing on this icon right here. I will select the file. So the dicom file to be selected shouldn't be compressed, so it can be read by Limaguide. Now using this yellow box, I will cut down my dicom. And I press on the OK button. So the software now will generate 4 different views. So for our next step, what we will have to do is to import the STL model to align it with the bone. So I go in here and press on the 5th icon. And I import the STL model. So the model appears on this view and I will have to align them. I go to the alignment section and press on the sphere button. The software will generate 2 different views. On the left is the bone and on the right is the STL model, as marked as well in here. I will start placing the dots and aligning the bone with the STL. The more accurate we are, better the alignment will be. Another one right in here. And lastly, so I can move the whole bone by pressing on the scroll button of my mouse, and I zoom in. I press it on the tip of the cusp, and I'm gonna do the same right on the STL model. I zoom in and I zoom out with the scroll button of my mouse. On the right click, I can move my model, and I press the 3rd point on the tip of the cusp. I press the next button and the software will align the STL with the bone. Before proceeding, we have to check that the alignment has been done correctly. So I go to Planning, I select my STL model, and I press on this 2nd button right in here. So on this view, the central view, the sagittal cut, I can scroll with my mouse and see the alignment that has been done. I can press on the Control and then on the scroll button of my mouse to zoom in to have a better view. So I continue scrolling down to check the alignment. So right with this arrow, I can move or take up my model. Move it again. For me, it was good. So I'm gonna leave it right in here. So we have a perfect alignment between the STL model and the bone. So the next step will be to do the diagnostic wax-up. We go to Prosthesis. I will hide the bone to have a better view of my model. And what we're gonna do to have a quicker wax-up, to be able to perform a quicker wax-up, I'm gonna press on the teeth icon, plane. I'm gonna close this window, and I'm gonna position the model the same way as positioned in this photo. So now what the photo is marking in here is to press 3 dots on the model. 1, another 1, 2, and 3. The software will generate a reference plane. I can press on this icon to move the reference plane the way I would like to. Can take it a little bit up. I'm gonna position this plane in a way to have it touching the tip of the cusps of the teeth present. Let's have a view, a lateral view. So now I will press on this middle button right in here to generate the teeth. So as I already mentioned, this is a reference plane to be able to position the teeth in a more fast and simple way. So here we go. I'm gonna move this plane backwards since my 46 and 47 teeth is missing. Here, since I see that more or less the position is acceptable, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close this window right in here. I'm gonna go again to teeth, select the 46 and 47 and press the add automatically button. And I'm gonna close. So now the software has generated me 2 teeth at the position that I have already chosen in a more or less acceptable way. All I have to do is select the 46, 47, press on these 2 buttons to be able to move them. Now I can move the 2 teeth since I selected the both of them. I can move them simultaneously. Let's have another look. From the occlusal view, I can move them a little bit more. Now I can select only one tooth. I can rotate it. Until I like the position that I have. Okay, so basically my wax up is done. I can press on the escape button or I can press these 2 buttons to eliminate the selection. Once I have this, usually we have the antagonist model. We can mount these 2 models using the virtual articulator button. But in this case, I don't have the antagonist, the opposite model. And this is a tutorial just to explain to you guys how to do a surgical splint. So I'm not gonna use this option, but I will mention it since it's an option that can be used in this case as well. I'm gonna close this window. So now the next step is to position the implants, because we always position the implant according to the prosthesis position. I'm gonna hide the bone. And I'm gonna go to implants. So basically it's in planning, pressing on implant. Before choosing the implant, another option that we have is to mark the nerve position. So I'm gonna scroll down in here till I see a clear vision of the pathway of the nerve. I'm gonna press on pencil, mark line, and mark the pathway of the nerve. I'm gonna press the escape button to remove the selection, go to scroll down again and press on the implant icon. So here I have the implant library. I can go and change the implant system that I want. In this case, for example, I will choose Ditron implant. I would choose a height of 8, let's say a diameter of 4.2, and I'm gonna press on the add button. I go right here and I place my implant. I can press on the control scroll button and zoom in to where I want to go. Here we have the implant positioned at the level of the 46. I'm gonna close this window. I'm gonna scroll right in here and go to the position of the 4.6. Let's zoom on this view. Once the implant is in a yellow color, I can move it the way I would like to. I can move it this way, and here I see the emergence profile of this implant. I can take it upwards a little bit. As well, what I can do is to incline this implant, pressing on this button right here. And then I can move it again. So here I have the implant at the level of the 4.6 positioned. I can take it slightly down, and that's it. For example, this is the first example. What I can do is right click on this implant and press the duplicate button. So here the software will generate another implant since it's duplicated. I move this implant and place it on the 4.7. Let's see this implant position. I can press on it, move it slightly to the vestibular side. Since I duplicated this implant, as we can see on this 3D reconstruction view, I'm going to show you the emergence, the projection of the implants. So here I have created two parallel implants. So now right in here, if I would like to angulate it, it's the same procedure. I can slightly angulate my implant until I like the position. Can take it slightly upwards. For example, right in here. And here I have the two implants in their position. I can press on the abutment. We can place, we can choose from the library the angulation of the abutment, straight or angulated, and the dimension of our abutment, the height of our abutments. I'm gonna close this window. So now I want to perform my surgical splint. I'm gonna press on the tube button, hide the teeth so I can have a closer look. And here are the tubes in their place. I go to implant, I go to the tube section. I can choose the system of tubes that I want. In this case, I will choose the Limaguide system that is already registered. Check the box apply to all and press on the edit button and then close it. So here we have it. So now I'm gonna design my surgical splint. I will go to offset, press. So before doing that, let me hide the abutments. Go to the offset section, press on offset. I'm gonna select implant guide since I want to design a surgical splint. In this case, I will have to do two simple things. Here I have the model. I'm gonna position the model in a certain way. Here we go. I'm gonna select the model in the same direction as the insertion path of my future guided splint. For example, for me this is a good angulation. And secondly, I'm gonna select STL model since the surgical splint that I want will be performed on my STL model. And again, I'm gonna press the save button and next. Here I'm gonna select teeth because the surgical splint will be performed on the teeth. The thickness of the splint is 2.8 and the clearance 0.12. Usually the clearance is between 0.12 and 0.18. What is the clearance? It's the distance between my model and the splint. I'm gonna press on the next button again. I'm gonna select these two implants since my surgical splint will contain these two implants. And now I'm gonna mark the limit of my splint. So I'm gonna check if I would like to move the position of the red dots. And I'm gonna press on the window on the next button. So here I'm gonna give a few seconds for the software to generate for generating the offset mesh, which is the guided splint. Here the time depends on the size of the guided splint that I'm performing. A few seconds more. And here we have our surgical splint. I'm gonna press on the next close button. Some people prefer to make a small window right in the surgical splint to make sure that this surgical splint, once placed in the mouth, is in its correct position. We're gonna do it right away. Before doing that, I will double click on offset, which is the name of the splint, and just change the name to splint. I'm gonna apply that. We go to the offset section now. We press on object. This object, I will select it right in here. So I will select the splint, since this object that I will choose, the square object, will go and be on the splint, and I'm gonna press on it. Right click, edit, and change the position to the splint. Change the position of the splint. I'm gonna reposition it with this green yellow circle. I'm gonna expand my object and make sure that it's placed in a certain way that it transpasses my surgical splint from the inside as well to the other side. Once done, I'm gonna select the box and press on the subtract button. So what the software will do is it will subtract from the surgical splint the box that I have designed, and I'm gonna close. So here we have our surgical splint. So lastly, I'm gonna import all my work. First of all, I'm gonna save the project on the third button right here, press on PC, and save it in my desktop. For example, I'm gonna place project 1. I'm gonna save, this is how we save the project. And I will show you now how to export this, how to save this guide and export it so you can print it. So we go on this blue icon right here. I press splint and export. I can also export it to the same position, for example, splint 1, and save it on my desktop. So basically here we have a surgical splint designed in a very simple way for the positioning of 2 dental implants. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you for watching.